joined by Matthias Schmitt, who is a consultant cardiologist in Wythenshawe as part of the Manchester Foundation Trust, and he's also the co-lead for research with the British Society for Cardiovascular Imaging. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Matthias.
Good afternoon, Alastair.
So we've got obviously this new position of research lead within the Society, and I'm just wondering if you can explain a bit more about what your role involves and what sort of things you have planned for the upcoming term as your position as the research lead.
I think there was an idea that we needed a little bit more impetus in the field of cardiovascular research, not least because the British Heart Foundation, as a supporting funding agency, is soon to launch the cardiovascular or the BHF cardiovascular research network, and in this context engages with societies such as ours and wants to hear their voice heard and engage with the societies to gauge what the societies feel are the priorities related to their expertise and field of work. And in that context, we felt that it was time to really provide an impetus and to work on a cardiovascular research strategy.
And the UK has obviously been a big driver in terms of cardiovascular research of late, with a number of big publications coming from both the cardiac CT field and from the MR field in particular. What sort of ideas do you think the Society could start to do to support collaborative research amongst all of the number of different investigators we have across the UK?
I mean, this is absolutely correct. It is by no means boastful to say that cardiovascular research in the UK is world leading, and there are many centres that play a major role. With respect to the role that the Society could play, I think this is where we start from. We do acknowledge first and foremost that we were possibly a society that was mainly minded in promoting the clinical usage, clinical guidelines, and we look at our sister societies and other societies that may in the area of research have been more active. And it is no secret, we want to try and model ourselves on some of our sister society with respect to developing an infrastructure, a network, a platform to catalyze research driven by the BSCI with a BSCI agenda. I think the time has come that the BSCI as an organization gets involved and at least tries to steer the research into the field that the members, expert or stakeholders feel are the appropriate areas, and that hopefully will influence funders such as the BHF mentioned earlier, but all the funders across the spectrum, to listen what the clinician on the ground, the active researchers feel are the research priorities.
What sort of network do you envisage as trying to develop here at the BSCI?
Well, I briefly mentioned that we make no secret out of that. In my opinion, we want to model ourselves on the research activity or the research infrastructure that loosely came together as a consequence of Stefan Neubauer's activity in the funding or setting up a BSCMR research network, where interested people who are already research active come together to share their ideas, but also to then cross-fertilize and say, okay, we can collaborate, we can drop our anxiety, this whole notion of, oh, I'm worried somebody's pinching my ideas. We see that as a group working together, we achieve more than as single individuals. And in terms of collaboration, if you follow what the BSCMR Research Committee has achieved in that context, you saw earlier the perfusion talk by James Moon, and if you looked out at where the technology was rolled out, that was actually mapping the members of the research society. So there is an example of direct translation of a clinical research group working together and making clinical translation in terms of software packages. So as a society, what do we think how we can facilitate this? This is to build a platform of people, interested people coming together, find out what the group or what our membership feels are the hurdles or the obstacle to provide more collaboration. But also, I mean, there's a whole myriad of ideas that was mentioned at the board yesterday, what could or could not be launched, such as startup grants that we already have for particular research ideas, but also proprietary software packages that could be given out amongst members of the society, seed corn grants, but first and foremost, to engage with those who have the desire, the will and the capability to participate in research, but have so far not managed to do so because of excess clinical workload or other hurdles, red tape in terms of setting up studies, because they may not have academic time.
For our members out there who are keen to be involved in the development of this research programme, how are they going to be able to get involved with the society?
Well, as you know, as a first step, which was partly in response to the British Heart Foundation Research Network that is due to be launched at the BCS in June this year, we engaged with our stakeholders, i.e. members, in a two-stage process to find out who is out there, who would like to be involved, to find out there what are the obstacles that prevents them from taking part. And then we engaged in an active process. We set a modified Delphi process in which we want our membership to formulate what they consider to be the research priorities at this moment in time. And this is an iterative process. The first part of the process has been taken, or the first step of this iteration has been done. We sent emails out engaging with the membership. We had a surprisingly good response to this. And the outcome of this first iterative process will, I think, tomorrow be presented by Dylan, who was leading on this together with Jonathan McWeir and together with Michelle Williams. And then we will go back to the membership after this first iterative process has been concluded to engage in the second stage process. And at the end of this, we hope to be able to formalize this in form of a paper and publish what our society, our stakeholder feels are the research priorities at this moment in time.
Matthias, that's a very exciting endeavour, and we look to see what steps come next. So thank you very much for you taking your time to sit with us at the conference.
Thanks a lot, Alastair.